Ever feel like your brain just takes the easy way out? Like, it's more interested in being fast than being right. Well, get this. Today, we're diving into some fascinating research about exactly that. It turns out our brains actually prioritize efficiency over absolute truth.
Huh. Interesting.
Yeah, and it's a survival tactic straight from our ancestors, but,
Oh, yeah.
makes sense.
It has some pretty wild implications for us in today's world. We'll be looking at how this affects like everything from our memories
Wow.
to how we see reality itself.
Fascinating. I'm excited to dive in.
Me too.
Ah.
Okay, so it's mind-blowing to think about how our brains process tons of information every second,
Right.
but we're only aware of a tiny bit of it.
It's true.
Yeah.
Like, it's millions of bits of information.
Yeah.
And we're only conscious of a tiny, tiny fraction.
Right. So for our ancestors, that speed, though, that was like everything for survival.
Absolutely. It was essential. Like, imagine being chased by a saber-toothed tiger or something. You wouldn't have time to, like, stop and analyze every little detail.
Right. You'd have to react quickly.
Just, oh no, run.
Exactly. Just pure instinct.
So that makes total sense. But how does our brain decide what information to, like, focus on then?
Well, our brains develop these things called heuristics.
Heuristics.
Yeah. Think of them like mental shortcuts. You know,
Yep.
they're like pre-programmed responses that let us make super fast decisions without having to like process every single piece of information.
So that's how we can react so quickly.
Exactly. And a classic example of this is something called the availability heuristic.
Availability heuristic.
Yeah, it's basically where we overestimate the likelihood of events that are easy to remember.
Oh, so because we see them on the news or something?
Yeah, often because they're vivid or emotionally charged, right?
That makes sense. Is that why people are more afraid of flying than driving?
Exactly. Like plane crashes, they're all over the news. They evoke strong emotions.
Right.
So they're easy to recall, even if they're statistically much less likely than car accidents.
Oh, wow. It's like our brain is saying, if I can easily remember it, it must be super important.
That's a great way to put it. It's like our brain's way of prioritizing.
But it's not always accurate.
Right. And that's where these heuristics can sometimes trip us up.
Okay, so are there other ways these heuristics can, like, lead us astray?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Confirmation bias is another big one.
Confirmation bias.
Yeah, it's where we seek out information that confirms our existing beliefs.
Oh, yeah. I've definitely seen that.
It's everywhere, especially on social media.
Yeah.
Algorithms create these echo chambers, reinforcing our views and filtering out anything that challenges us.
Right.
So it's like our brain is actively working to protect our worldview, even if it's not entirely accurate.
That's kind of scary, actually. Wouldn't a more balanced approach be better? I mean, shouldn't we at least consider different points of view?
You'd think so, right?
Yeah.
But remember, our brains are wired for efficiency. And challenging our beliefs, well, that takes effort. And it can even trigger uncomfortable feelings.
So you're saying, like, actually, like, physically uncomfortable?
Yeah. Studies have shown that confronting conflicting information can activate the same brain regions that are associated with actual physical pain.
Wow, that's wild. Questioning our beliefs is literally painful. That seems a bit extreme.
It is. It's like our brains are saying, hey, stick with what you know.
Yeah.
It's safer this way.
So is there any way around this? Like, can we actually override that pain response?
Luckily, yeah. Us humans have a superpower. Metacognition.
Meta what?
Metacognition, like the ability to think about our own thinking.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Yeah. So it lets us step back, observe our thoughts and beliefs, and try to spot those potential biases.
It's like having an inner fact checker.
Exactly. It's like having that little voice in your head saying, hold on, let's think this through before we jump to conclusions.
Okay. Metacognition. I like it. But is that something we're born with, or can we, like, actually learn it? And what makes some people better at resisting those mental shortcuts and actually seeking out the truth?
It's a great question. Some people might just be naturally inclined to think more deeply. But the good news is we can all actually cultivate those metacognitive skills with practice.
Okay.
It's like, think of it like a muscle.
Yeah.
The more you use it, the stronger it gets.
So, like, how do we exercise that thinking about thinking muscle? Are there any specific techniques that can, like, help us resist those tempting mental shortcuts and become more, truth-seeking?
Absolutely. One group that really stands out when it comes to truth-seeking are people with scientific training.
Scientists.
Yeah, scientists are basically professional skeptics.
Oh, interesting.
Their whole approach is built around like questioning assumptions,
Right.
rigorously testing ideas, and, being open to being proven wrong.
But what if we're not scientists? Can we still, benefit from those skills? Of course. You don't need a lab coat to think like a scientist.
Okay, good.
One key principle is adopting this wait but why mindset.
Wait, but why?
Yeah. Before you accept any information as fact, especially if it triggers a strong emotional response, pause and ask yourself, why do I believe this? What's the evidence? Are there other perspectives I haven't even considered?
That seems simple enough, but I imagine it takes real discipline to actually stop and question ourselves like that.
Oh, absolutely.
Especially when we're constantly bombarded with information.
It's a conscious effort, but trust me, it gets easier with practice.
Okay, good to know. So what else? Any other strategies?
Another great one is to embrace discomfort.
Discomfort.
Yeah, when we encounter information that challenges our beliefs, it's natural to feel defensive.
Right.
But instead of shutting down, or just dismissing the information outright, try leaning into that discomfort.
Ask yourself, why am I feeling this way? What assumptions am I clinging to? Is this belief truly serving me, or is it time to update my thinking?
So you're saying feeling uncomfortable might actually be a good sign?
Exactly.
Like it's a signal that we're actually stretching our mental muscles and expanding our understanding.
That's a great way to put it. And here's another interesting point. Research suggests that people with high cognitive reflection.
Cognitive reflection.
Yeah, those who are just naturally inclined to think more deeply and question their assumptions.
Okay.
They tend to be more resistant to certain cognitive biases.
So some people are just wired to be more skeptical than others.
It seems that way, yeah.
But is there anything the rest of us can do to boost our cognitive reflection? Is that something we can develop over time?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
While genetics might play a role, our environment and experiences also shape our thinking patterns,
Right.
Like surrounding yourself with people who value critical thinking and open-mindedness that can be incredibly influential.
Makes sense.
And seeking out diverse perspectives, even those you might initially disagree with, can help challenge your assumptions and broaden your understanding.
Yeah, exposing yourself to different ideas can help build up your mental immune system or something.
I love that analogy. And remember, even if you consider yourself a critical thinker, it's important to acknowledge that we're all susceptible to bias.
Oh, okay.
Intelligence doesn't make you immune. It just might make you more skilled at rationalizing your own biases.
That's a humbling thought.
Yeah.
So even the smartest among us need to stay vigilant and actively challenge our own thinking.
Right. It's an ongoing process.
Are there any other practical tools or techniques that we can use to help us in this truth-seeking journey?
Absolutely. In this age of information overload, it's crucial to have a reliable set of tools to help us navigate all the noise.
Give us the rundown. What are some of your favorite truth-seeking tools? Because we've got that wait but why thing going.
Right.
We're getting comfortable with being uncomfortable. And we're branching out and looking at all these different viewpoints.
That's it.
What else can we add to our truth-seeking toolkit?
One of the simplest but most effective tools is good old-fashioned fact-checking.
Fact-checking, like Snopes and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Like when you come across something that sounds a little iffy,
Right.
take a few minutes to check it out using like a Snopes PolitiFact.
Mm-hmm.
They specialize in debunking all that misinformation out there.
Yeah, they're great.
And they can help you separate fact from fiction.
That's so important these days, especially online. It's so easy to just believe a headline or a post without even thinking, wait, is this true?
It really is.
Yeah.
And beyond fact-checking, there are also things like structured reasoning techniques,
What are those?
like argument mapping.
Argument mapping? Okay.
It can help you break down complex issues,
Okay.
identify any logical fallacies, weaknesses in the argument.
Oh, so it's not just about the information itself. It's about how we're processing it. Making sure our thinking is straight.
Right.
Not falling for bad logic.
You got it. And as technology gets, more advanced,
Right.
we can expect even more sophisticated tools to help us.
So, what do you imagine?
I'm thinking, AI-powered analysis,
No.
helping us spot those patterns and biases we might not even be aware of. Those tools could be super powerful for finding the truth.
That's amazing. But it also makes me wonder if we're getting too reliant on technology to do our thinking for us?
That's a good point.
You know what I mean? Like, are we going to outsource our critical thinking skills to algorithms?
That's a valid concern, for sure. But ultimately, the most powerful tool we have is our own minds.
Okay, right.
We need to cultivate those metacognitive skills,
Uh-huh.
that ability to think critically and independently, regardless of what tools we have.
So it's all about balance.
Exactly.
Using tech, but not letting it think for us.
Right. And this brings us to another really important point, actually.
Yeah.
Instilling these skills in the next generation.
Oh, that's so important.
If we want a future where truth is valued and critical thinking is like the norm,
Right.
we need to start young.
Totally. So how do we raise a generation of like little truth seekers? What can parents and teachers and just like society as a whole do?
Well, it starts by creating a culture of curiosity.
Curiosity.
Yeah. Instead of just giving kids information,
Yeah.
we need to encourage them to ask why.
Okay.
Challenge assumptions, embrace debate, and don't be afraid of making mistakes.
Mistakes are good.
Mistakes are great. They're valuable learning opportunities.
I love that. It's about nurturing that natural curiosity kids have and helping them become lifelong learners.
Exactly. And it's not just about what we teach them. It's about how we act ourselves.
Right.
Kids are always watching.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They
Pick up on our attitudes and behaviors even when we don't realize it.
lead by example.
Yes. If they see us thinking critically, valuing evidence, being open to changing our minds,
Right.
they're way more likely to do the same.
So show them it's okay to question things, be curious, and not have all the answers.
Exactly. And remember, searching for truth, it's a journey, not a destination.
That's a good way to put it.
There's always going to be more to learn, more to question, and more to discover.
This has been a really thought-provoking deep dive into how our brains work and the ups and downs of truth-seeking.
It has.
We talked about how our brains are wired for efficiency.
Right.
We explored strategies for beating those biases and becoming more critical thinkers.
It's all about asking those tough questions.
Yeah.
Challenging ourselves.
I think the most important thing we learned is that we have more control over our thinking than we realize.
I agree.
By developing those metacognitive skills, using the tools we have, and fostering that culture of curiosity, we can all become more savvy with information.
Absolutely.
And help build a world where truth actually wins.
That's the goal.
So to all our listeners out there, remember to stay curious, question everything, and never stop searching for the truth. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.